your grandma's passing, one of the more remarkable stories that I've heard in terms of like how it happened, almost beautiful in a way, how you describe it. What happened?
That was the day I absolutely believed in God. I questioned God since I was a child. Just the concept of God. Like, how could there be God when I'm looking at the peril that people, humans, have faced, you know? And my grandmother just wanted me to have a relationship with the Lord, as she would say. And I had Michael, who's now 16 years old. I think she was like 4 or 5. We were going to her nursery for a Black History celebration for her great-grandmother and her mom and dad to see her. And her mom had gotten married. And I remember my grandmother saying, well, why don't you let him just adopt her? And I said, why would I let another man adopt? I ain't no another man adopted my other 3 children. Why would I do that? Well, I mean, her mother's married now. Yeah, so I'm married too. So what do we, we're not gonna do that. And we went through an exchange for like 3-4 minutes, and it hurt my feelings. I was angry. I was like, Mama, I used to curse in front of her. And she looked at me after seeing I was very passionate about being in my daughter's life and raising my life, at the same time trying to hammer out a career. And my grandmother understood in that moment that I wanted to be her father. I was going to do whatever I needed to do to be there, that it wasn't going to be like it was the prior 9 years of my career. And she looks at me and she said something I never heard my grandmother say. Because usually if she hurt your feelings, she said, I beg your pardon. She said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. And we drove on to the place, and we got there, and I was about to drive up the hill, and the guy said, well, you can't drive up the hill. You have to park down here and walk up. And my grandmother walked daily. She'd do 1.5, 3 miles. She was very active. So she was like, oh, I'll walk. I was like, no, Mom, let me just take you up. I'll drop you off 1 minute. She was like, no, I'll walk. So I parked down. As we were walking up, we got about halfway up the hill. She stopped. She turned around. She looked at me. She looked past me. She saw something. She looked back at me and smiled. She put her arms on me and she was gone. I tried CPR, which I successfully used CPR twice and saved 2 people's life my lifetime. I was confident I could keep her going if somebody came up, and then I realized, no, she's gone. And it was just me and her. And then it was me, her, and the presence of God. And it was just me. And man, I never felt bad or like there was something that wasn't done or said, because I understood that all my life she had been kind of training me for this moment. She had told us, her and my grandfather, I could die. Y'all all y'all got. You got to take care of yourself. She had told me my whole life that God exists. And her last act of being my mother was showing me that. And I have not stopped being blessed since that day. Since she joined my ancestors, there's not a day that I don't recognize that there is something favorable and good happening for me, in part because of her prayer and energy and what she put into me. So I don't take a day for granted. There are days where I'm sadder than others. There's days where I don't wake up on the right side of the bed. There's days that extra time get at it, but there's not a day that I take for granted, thanks to Betty.